Okay, Ieuan Mackenzie, first of all, kick us off. So, 2024 last year, you mentioned in your end of year post that although maybe the fight results didn't go the way you wanted, it was actually a really good year. Obviously, with you quitting your full-time job, you're moving into coaching. How do you reflect on last year now as we're about a month into 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super positive about it. Obviously, it's super easy for me to dwell on the fight results and how it looks online. Two losses in a row, but there's a lot of positives to come out that year. Like I said, I quit my full time job. I moved into coaching. I got my weight to a position where I'm constantly ready to fight, which was something since going pro. I was never in. I was never like ready to make weight on 3 weeks notice or 4 weeks notice. I always needed an 8 to 10 week camp. So yeah, I got my weight to a really good place. I got myself into a really good schedule, and yeah, like I said, I'm really excited because this will be my first year full time. For 12 months rather than just half the year like it was last year.
You were a professional, obviously, the past couple of years, but now you are full-time fighter. How do you compare being a pro fighter to being an amateur fighter? Is it what you expected so far?
Um, yeah, I mean, like I think there's definitely a mindset shift when you go professional. Obviously, at amateur, it's fight every couple months, fight whoever, fight wherever. A pro, you've got to be a little bit smarter. Um, maybe I paid the price a little bit in my last fights for not being as smart. Although at the time we thought, they were the right decisions. Looking back, maybe we should have been a little bit smarter with the fight choices. But honestly, it's something I've always stayed true to myself. I never pick and choose easy fights. I always want the tough fights because in this sport that you get to the highest level and it's make or break. So I'd rather make the mistakes now, take the tough fights now, and so when I do get to that higher level, I've already been there, I've experienced it.
The last fight, obviously, I've watched it back. I'm Welsh. I don't have to be. I can say I'm biased. It was a robbery. Like, we're not gonna sit here and say
Yeah,
it wasn't. It was in Spain against a Spanish guy. So this next fight you're taking, also against the Spanish guy. Was
yeah.
this on purpose? Did you want to really just kind of beat out those nerves from the last one and be like, right, no offense to Spain, but come on.
No, I think it was just it's a beautiful coincidence that it was the first guy we got offered. First one that come through was this guy. Just happened to be Spanish. Happened to have fought my last opponent at amateur as well. And we looked at the matchup. Thought it was a brilliant matchup. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand why they've accepted the fight, right? He's probably looked at my record for he's lost two on the bounce. He's lost to the guy I fought at amateur. This will be a nice fight to build his record. Obviously, it's a bad decision for him, but he'll find that out in 2 weeks. But yeah, he's obviously not taking this fight thinking it's going to be a tough fight, right? And yeah, like I said, it's just a great coincidence that he happens to be Spanish because I hold a little bit of a grudge over the judges from the last fight, so I'll just take it out on him. The Spanish fans, however, were great. I've got nothing against them. I had loads of Spanish uh, MMA fans and fight fans messaging me afterwards saying that they thought I'd won. So I love the Spanish people, but someone's obviously got to pay for the robbery last time, and if it's not the judges, then it'll be this guy.
Obviously, I couldn't find too much on him. I did a bit of research. I could see it looked like he was 1-0 just from purely tapology. Not, maybe you can't always trust it, but I could see that. So, what sort of fight are you expecting from him? Because it looked like he's a pretty heavy striker, but again, I couldn't find too much. So, what are you preparing for?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was the same. He had like 24 amateur fights, but a lot of these fights were two-rounder fights, fighting the same people multiple times. I think he kind of dominated one little local Spanish tournament for a while, just fighting the same guys, two-round fights. Um, couldn't really find much on him. He looks like he on the feet, single shots, doesn't really set much up. I don't see him wanting to engage in the grappling at all. I think he's going to try and stay on the outside and just pick with single shots.
And obviously, with two fights abroad last year, was it important to do a couple more, bit closer to home this year?
Yeah, I think after the last two results, the last thing I need is to go into someone's backyard again and fight a hometown guy. I think it's about time I got a nice home fight with a local crowd. I got loads of people come to support me as well. And I think also the cutting weight abroad, trying to eat the right food when you're stuck in a hotel room. I mean, when I was in Spain, I was cooking on a hob by my hotel window, trying not to set the fire alarm off, just so I could stay on track and eat the right food. So I think, I'm glad the stress of the weight cut's not going to be there this time around.
See, I watched you as an amateur. You were obviously in great shape then, but it does feel like you can really see the difference in your physique now. It looks like the nutrition's on point. It looks like you're training all the time. It's very obvious. Are you feeling a difference physically now?
I can concentrate a lot more on my food than I could before. My S&C is much more. I was always being super consistent with my S&C, but I've been doing it for 3 years now. So I'm building more muscle mass, and obviously I'm becoming a man as well, right? I'm getting older. I'm just turned 24, so I'm kind of like, I don't know when you stop growing, but it's like 25 or something. So I'm still growing, I'm still developing, but yeah, just been putting loads of work in with my S&C and my nutrition the past 3 years. And so the past year now, I've been with my nutritionist for 12 months straight. So I'm going into my 13th month straight with a nutritionist. Whereas before, I just get with him 2 months before a fight camp. Now I'm with him year round. So I think that's paying a lot. Uh, it's paying off basically.
At the end of this year, so you've had a fight with Cage Warriors, which is massive. You fought abroad. You fought in America, which is, what an experience. What's the goal
Yeah.
for the end of the year now? Do you want to stay with a promotion? What's the goal when you get to the end of the next year?
My goal this year, what I've got in my head, I want 4 fights. I always told myself when I turned pro that I want 3 fights a year minimum until I'm done. I don't know how long I'll be pro, 10 years in total, maybe, or 12 years in total. Yeah, obviously it changes as you go, but I've always told myself I want 3 fights a year for as long as I'm pro. I only got 2 in last year. No fault of my own. I tried to get a fight in July, couldn't get one. Tried to get one in November, couldn't get one. Um, so I was really unlucky on that front. So, I'm starting the year off in February. I want to fight in May. I want to fight in September. I want to fight in November. I want to be active all year. Um, and yeah, like I said, I want 4 fights in. And obviously, for me, the goal is the UFC, right? So if I can get 4 wins in a row this year, that puts me at 7-2. I can't be far off their radar, right? I know to a lot of people that's probably funny, right? 'Cause I'm 3-2 and whatever, but I've always believed I'll make it, and there's little speed bumps along the way. But they're supposed to happen, right? Because they change the way you look at things, they change the way you train, and it's about how you deal with the issues.
Yeah, but you say that. You say, 3-2, and if you ended the year 7-2, it sounds silly, and maybe it's different circumstances, but Oban was about near enough that when he joined the UFC. So trust
Yeah,
me, it's there.
yeah, exactly. I'm sure plenty of people were looking at him when he was after the Figlac fight and thought, he's not going to go no anywhere. And then look what he's done. He won on the Contender Series. He went 3-0 last year in the UFC. So the opportunity's there. I know, and I know how hard I work is the other thing, right? I don't have any doubt in my mind that I could work harder or I'm taking shortcuts. I'm training 2-3 times a day every day. Strict training schedule. I'm sticking to it. So I know. I'll get what I deserve. It'll come to me in time.
And you mentioned the UFC, so we've got to finish off now just with a quick UFC predictions this weekend. I'm just going to do a little main event, co-main event. Don't know how much you've been following it this week. Obviously, I
Yeah.
don't, because I know you watch UFC. I just don't know how much you've watched of this week. But main event: Sean Strickland versus Duplessis. Main event: champ versus challenger. Who you got?
I am a big Strickland fan. I did think he won the first fight, but they say when you're the champ, you get like 25% better, right? And I think Duplessis is going to finish him this time round. I'm thinking maybe like third or fourth round sub. I don't want it to happen. I'd love Strickland to get the belt back, but that's my, uh, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I would bet money on.
And again, co-main, Zhang Weili, Tatiana Suarez. Suarez more of a wrestler. Zhang's pretty well-rounded, but everyone's kind of going with Suarez in this one. I mean, I'm bouncing between, but who have you got?
I mean, I just think I think Whaley's going to take it. I think Suarez has always struggled with injuries. She's been out a little while as well, and she's not as young as people seem to think she is. You know, she's 34. Whaley's only 35, and um, I I just think Whaley's activity, and I think she. You watch her fights, right? She's better every single fight, and her wrestling looked class in her last fight. I see a short, stocky build actually helping her defend the takedowns of Tatiana. I think Tatiana's going to start strong, but I'd say Whaley by decision.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'd go as well, to be
Yeah.
honest. Nice.